Hello, good people, and thanks once again for choosing My Media Prime Television. On this edition of The Brief today, we are looking at the major headlines that the newspaper carries for you. We are talking about ex-Ambazonia fighters of the DDR Center in Bamenda who have been have been pleased by the government of Cameroon after a major strike action they staged on Monday in the chief town of the northwest region of Cameroon, Bamenda. And equally, the papers will be talking about the crisis plaguing football in Cameroon. And Audrey Zaxa of our French desk is always around as usual to keep you glued to your television set. Bonjour, Audrey.
Good morning, Lasha Kingsley. Good morning to you all faithful viewers of The Brief. Bonjour à tous, fidèles téléspectateurs de Débrief. C'est toujours un plaisir de vous retrouver. Vous le savez, Débrief, c'est cette émission qui est entièrement consacrée à la revue de presse. Et ce matin, on va débuter avec le journal La Capitale Tribune, Cameroun Tribune, qui se consacre à sa une, un an de gestion locale. D'après le journal, 49 milliards de chiffre d'affaires, 11 milliards de francs reversés à l'État en termes de recettes fiscales contre une moyenne de 4,3 milliards avant la reprise. Ce sont des chiffres dévoilés hier par les responsables de la régie en charge de la plateforme qui faisait le bilan des activités un an après l'entrée en service. Cette information, ou alors la suite, est à lire à la page 8 à 9 de Cameroun Tribune. On poursuit avec Info Matin qui, à sa page, parle plutôt de chiffres virtuels manipulés par Cyrus Ngor. Le journal, dans son démenti, indique que le directeur général de la RTC brandit les chiffres des résultats d'exploitation astronomique est totalement faux au moment où la place portuaire se meurt. Dans le Mbam et Inoubou, région du centre, mutation alerte sur un conflit foncier de plus de 10 000 hectares qui aguiche les appétits. En effet, d'après notre confrère, un nébuleux projet de production et transformation de cacao suscite déjà les polémiques de ce côté. On termine avec Émergence qui parle de la crise de la FECAFOOT. Le TAS demande des comptes. Le même journal parle également de Douala, Security brutality leaves one person dead. La suite de cette information sera liée à la page 3 de Émergence. Madame, messieurs, voilà pour les titres en langue anglaise, en langue française. Place aux titres en langue anglaise avec toi, Lasha Kingsley.
Thank you, Audrey Zazak. Let's get started with the Lone English Daily, the Guardian Post newspaper. This morning, of course, like I did announce in the beginning, Bamenda DDR Center government cajoles disgruntled ex-Amba fighters with 4 million francs CFA. The government of Cameroon has summarily doused tension at the regional or at the disarmament and demobilization DDR Center in Bamenda following a protest which ex-Amba fighters at the facility began on Monday or began staging on Monday. The ex-Amba fighters had taken their grievances to the public on Monday. This prompted the swift intervention of government of Cameroon on Wednesday, where a delegation dispatched by Prime Minister Chief Dr. Joseph Jengute was sent to Bamenda to calm down the irate Amba fighters or ex-Amba fighters who took to the streets to express their frustration after several months of waiting on government to fulfill some promises it made to them when they were dropping their arms. And let's talk FECAFOOT, a leadership crisis this time around. Stakeholders have apparently ignored Bia's advice, remain on war path. According to the Guardian Post newspaper, the Council of President Paul Biya in his January 11th Youth Day message for stakeholders in Cameroon's football to close ranks and revive the sports for the image of the country in the face of multiple crises have been thrown to the dogs, according to the paper. And the president of the Republic of Cameroon, who appealed, the Guardian Post quote, "I want to call on Cameroonian football governing bodies to pull themselves together and restore order to the organization. It is only in so doing that we can create the best conditions for the sustained development of our football. Those were the words of President Paul Biya during the 10th, or during the State of Nations address to the youth on the 10th of February 2020. We should all talk about this other incident in Yaoundé, where a student has been arrested for allegedly threatening a teacher with a gun. The student of government bilingual high school Ekonu in the central region of Cameroon, whose name the paper could not immediately get, was arrested recently after he threatened his English language teacher with a gun. Let's now take you to the Median newspaper. The Median newspaper this morning also focuses on the Bamenda strike action staged by the ex-combatants or ex-fighters at the DDR Center. PM rushes envoy to Bamenda with cash of 4 million francs to quench down the anger of the ex-Ambazonia fighters. According to the paper, an interministerial delegation was Wednesday dispatched to the northwest region of Cameroon, that's Bamenda, chief town of the northwest region of Cameroon, to sweet talk the disgruntled ex-fighters. Details on page 2 of this edition of the paper. And the torture of man in Mindefsi sanctions await guilty soldiers. The soldiers who have been arrested and detained at the territorial gendarmerie in Ndu subdivision, Ndonga Mountain division of the northwest region of Cameroon, for allegedly torturing and filming a man to near death and posting on the social media on Valentine's Day. Let's end with the Post newspaper. The Post Weekender this morning also took interest in the strike action staged at the DDR Center in Buea and Bamenda. The paper is questioning this morning why Faye Yengo and Co., or giving reasons why Faye Yengo and Co. should stop playing games. The Post newspaper writes that ex-combatants at the Disarmament, Demobilization and Reintegration DDR Center in Bamenda, northwest region of Cameroon, embarked on strike action on Monday, February 15, 2021. It should first of all be noted that the ex-combatant at the Buea facility, that's in southwest region of Cameroon, had also gone on strike action, prompting the intervention of the Prime Ministry with a cash of 4 million francs to help calm down the anger of the irate DDR tenants. That's how we saw it on today's review of the papers. We are back in the studio, televiewers, to continue with the discussion with our guest, Sir Mutaga Silvanus Tifu, who is just back from the north region, or the far north region of Cameroon. It should be recalled one of his party officials, or his close aide colleague, was released from prison, and they went to see him off in his hometown. Good morning, sir, and welcome to the program.
Good morning, Mr. Lasha Kingsley, and good morning to Audrey Zaza, and good morning to all the televiewers of my Media Prime TV. Like you just said, I'm just from the northern region, precisely from Tokumberi. That's the village of the President of the National Assembly, Honorable Kaveh Jibril, but we didn't go there to see the President of the National Assembly. We went there to see off the first National Vice President of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, engineer in agronomy, Mamadou Mota, who spent almost 20 months at the Kondengri Center prison, arrested last June 2019, that was the 3rd of June 2019, and illegally kept in detention at the Kondengri Center prison, and later sentenced due to the crisis that broke out on the 22nd of July 2019 in the prison, when the detainees of the Anglophone crisis launched a protest because of poor detention conditions at that prison, Mr. Lasha Kingsley.
Okay, let's begin very vividly this morning with the Post Weekender newspaper, of course, which took interest in the game. According to the paper, the game, it seems to be a game ongoing played by Faye Yengo Francis and his corps of the Buea DDR Center. We've seen government rushing to, calm down irate ex-Amba fighters who took to the streets in Bamenda. And the Post newspaper this morning is urging those who are in charge of the two DDR centers in the northwest and southwest region to stop playing the games. What do you have to say to that?
Mr. Lasha Kingsley, the last time I visited the DDR, that's the disarmament center of Boya, that was, it dates back just 2 weeks after my release from the Kondengui Central Prison. That was in November 2020.
Yes.
So when I met a good number of them there, they told me that they were really mobilizing for a strike action because the promises which the government gave them to re-establish them in the community, in the society, none of it was respected.
But
so
on their part, have they met up with the conditions given to them by the government? Don't you think some of them still pose some kind of threat to the community should they be integrated into civilian life without them fulfilling the conditions or being observed by the government to ensure that they are no longer a threat?
So Lasha Kingsley, these are people who freely dropped arms and decided to integrate the normal community, the society, to say, no, we are no longer secessionists, we want to let go our grievances and then embrace normal life. I don't think they were arrested by the government and then taken to the disarmament camps. That you tell me that they did not do so out of good faith. It was a negotiation between the government, a promise that was made by the President of the Republic during the Grand National Dialogue, that whosoever dropped arms was going to be given some compensation and see how the person can be reinserted in the community.
Exactly. The promises that were made to these people, was it all about money or seeing how they are going to be reinserted now? Because the government is giving them 3 million francs CFA. I don't know if it's 3 million.
3 million. If you share this money into
what could we make of this?
Audrey, 3 million francs, I read it, I think 4 million francs, something like that.
No, 1 million is set aside for the processing of the identification papers. Yes.
3 million francs. We need first of all to find out how many of them are in that camp.
In Boya, those that were ready for the ID cards to be processed, there were 70 of them. Going by that statistic, it means that the 3 million is supposed to be shared to these 70 people who are qualified to be reintegrated into civil life or civilian life.
I think that money, 3 million francs, is just a bribe. They went to bribe them to tell them, you shut up your mouth, don't make any much noise, we are still seeing what we have to do. It all boils down to the fact that many of our government officials usually go about deceiving the people, the ordinary citizens, that the government is working out solution to most of the problems that are plaguing the nation. Because I don't know how it comes that people who drop arms, it's been almost about 2 years old that they are in the disarmament center, and the government has not done anything concrete to see how they can reinsert them in the community. Because we thought that these guys were taken, maybe they will have to enroll them into certain specialized institutions which they will have to be.
No, you cannot say that. At the DDR center, Audrey, you will bear with me, in Bamenda, we've often seen the head of that center in Bamenda brandishing some of the how can I put it, workshops and other stuff, agricultural demonstration farms, where most of them are being taught on how to do
Lasha
poetry and whatever.
Lasha, you want to tell me that these guys are what we say, we call them in French, the Vatangue. It means the disarmament center is doing everything possible to give them a comfortable life, and they are just agitating for nothing. If I may want to get from you, you don't seem to forget that we have a government that is formed of propaganda. They made brandish.
In whose interest? Don't this send a very bad message to those who want to leave the bushes? Probably the colleagues who want to leave the bushes and be like them. I've often seen them show images of how they are living well in the DDR center on social media, thereby encouraging others to leave. Is it not sending a kind of bad signal?
Mr. Lasha Kingsley, I'm one of those people that want the war in the northwest and southwest region to end. But I'm one of those people that do not believe that the government should be out to win the war. These people of the two Anglophone regions have legitimate claims. They want better living conditions for their people. But I want to tell you that the government in place is out to win the war. Because if I talk of propaganda, they want to show to the international community, because we have a government that does not respect its own citizens. They only act when there is pressure from international communities. So they want to show to the world at large that the government is doing something valuable to put an end to the war in the northwest and southwest region, because if the government had been acting in good faith, I want to think that they would have taken concrete measures to ensure the reinsertion of these guys. Giving them, taking 3 million francs is just like grounded money to go.
Now these same people have accepted the bribe, the money.
They have just accepted a hungry man. These are hungry people. They have just accepted the money.
But mind you, these people still have criminal records. They can still be, prosecuted or taken to the judiciary or face the heavy of the law. So they have that legitimacy to be protesting, or
they have every legitimacy
peace
to be protesting
when they still have some criminal records.
Agreement is agreement. If you look at the war in Ivory Coast in 2000, you can imagine during the times of Guillaume Soro. Guillaume Soro was then a student in the university when Guillaume Soro launched the rebel group that almost destabilized Ivory Coast. I think that President Laurent Gbagbo had to negotiate with Guillaume Soro, later appointed him as the Prime Minister of Ivory Coast. They didn't go back into the records of Guillaume Soro to say, no, he was a rebel leader and all the like. These guys, you may consider them as rebel leaders. But in an attempt, in the process of seeking peace for the nation, once they have decided to...
No, but you may want to agree with me that those who are at the DDR center are those that are just beating the waters for the order to catch the fish. They are not the real people that the government should be making these negotiations with.
Everybody is important, especially in the negotiation process. You don't underestimate the strength of somebody who can carry a gun. These guys, they had carry guns, and if you want to underestimate their strength, I think it's like playing with fire.
These are guys sponsored by some big people.
They are sponsored by some big people. Don't forget that if these guys refused dropping their arms, those big people can do nothing, because we've seen a place where you sponsor a rebellion and then it is difficult for you to control that rebellion. So we must thank these guys who have decided to drop their arms in good faith and decide to join the disarmament camp. My point is that the government should do everything possible to reinsert them in the community. They should stop playing hanky-panky.
Yeah, that was the next question I was going to ask you. So what should the government do to make sure that this process continues?
What the government needs to do is to see exactly how they can create certain facilities. Let me talk of these guys. You don't have to forget that they had farms. Some of them were cocoa boys. Some of them were farmers. Some of them are students. You understand? Some of them were students, because we know that since 2016 that the Anglophone crisis broke out, there's been a lot of students that joined the war. They need to see how they can reinsert most of these students in their different fields of life. Those who were students, they see how they can register them back in their different institutions, or if there is a means of maybe creating an education center at the disarmament center itself, they can see how they can reinsert the students back into their fields of life.
We are gradually coming to the end of the program. Let's talk about the top authority of Douala.
Non, j'aimerais qu'on parle plutôt de cette affaire, cette autre affaire de violence policière. Dernièrement, on voyait encore certains agents battre ou alors maltraiter, violenter une personne de Ndou. Aujourd'hui, alors hier, on a suivi une autre histoire où un agent de sécurité d'une microfinance a été torturé dans une prison et le monsieur est malheureusement décédé. Pour les faits, en fait, le type, il a fait une fausse blague. Il a fait une blague à une dame et la dame a jugé que la blague n'était pas de bon goût. Du coup, elle a appelé les agents et il a été appréhendé. Maintenant, j'ai envie de savoir, les policiers qui sont censés, n'est-ce pas, protéger la population, que se passe-t-il réellement?
Audrey, si vous m'avez vu, j'avais une mine bizarre, très triste, parce que ça revient à ce que je disais sur une chaîne de télévision la fois dernière. À l'époque de nos parents, je pense à l'époque d'Aïjo, je me souviens de ce que mon père m'avait raconté un jour. Avant que tu sois recruté dans l'armée, la police, la gendarmerie, il y avait l'enquête de moralité.
Yeah.
À ce moment, ce critère pour le recrutement dans nos forces de maintien de l'ordre, dans le corps des forces de maintien de l'ordre, a quasiment disparu. Et vous voyez, aujourd'hui, nous, on recrute des hommes terribles, des bandits de grands chemins. On les recrute et c'est à ceux gens qu'on donne la sécurité de toute la nation entière dans le monde. Et vous pouvez imaginer une nation qui est gardée par les bandits. Je me souviens à la prison centrale de Kondingui, là où nous avons passé plus de 20 mois, j'ai été brutalisé une fois. Pour rien. Juste parce que on est face à des gendarmes, on est face à des policiers, face des militaires qui n'ont aucune notion des droits humains.
Parce what the authorities asking them.
Je n'arrive pas, je ne peux pas dire que c'est ce que leurs autorités les demandent à faire. Il faut comprendre qu'il y a les dérives dans tous les corps. Parce que ces hommes, je ne pense pas que c'est ce qu'on les enseigne à l'école. Il y a des militaires, il y a des gendarmes, il y a des policiers. Après avoir suivi une formation, ils partent au terrain. C'est toute leur nature intrinsèque, les valeurs qu'ils incarnent. Vous savez, quand vous sortez d'une famille que des hommes sont colériques, des femmes sont colériques, c'est ce que vous avez hérité de vos parents que vous manifestez.
Mais monsieur, c'est vrai qu'il est vrai que le dénouement de cette histoire est quand même triste, c'est tragique même. Mais n'est-ce pas quelque part les conséquences de nos actes que nous posons au quotidien? Parce que quand même, le monsieur a fait une blague à une dame qui n'a pas jugé que c'était une bonne blague. Elle a demandé au monsieur d'arrêter maintes fois de la toucher, mais il a continué de la toucher. Du coup,
je ne pense pas...
À une personne que tu ne connais pas, tu te permets de poser les mains sur elle. Il y a des gens qui ne supportent pas un certain nombre de blagues, surtout des personnes qu'on ne connaît pas.
Je n'aimerais pas vous interrompre, mais je vous pose une question. Si c'était votre frère, parce qu'il a fait juste une blague...
Non, je ne suis pas en train
de... Est-ce que cela mérite la mort?
Justement, c'est pour ça que je suis en train de dire que les policiers qui sont censés nous protéger, que s'est-il réellement passé maintenant? J'ai également envie qu'on essaie de questionner... Qu'on essaie de questionner la moralité des uns et des autres. J'ai envie qu'on questionne la moralité des uns et des autres.
Je condamne l'acte qui a été posé par le défunt. Celui qui est mort, l'homme, le gardien qui a été tabassé par les policiers. Il est mort. Paix à son âme. S'il existe, c'est que vous dites souvent. On dit souvent paix à son âme parce que paix à son âme n'existe pas. L'homme a juste une seule chance de se repentir quand il est vivant, parce que quand tu t'es pas repenti, tu es mort, tu iras à l'enfer. Bon, je reviens. Je ne cautionne pas à ce que les hommes blaguent avec des femmes n'importe comment dans la société. La femme est une créature très sacrée. On ne blague pas avec une femme n'importe comment. Et je ne peux pas cautionner cela. Mais je ne pense pas que l'acte que l'homme a posé mérite sa mort. Je pense qu'il devrait être arrêté. Et il y a les articles, il y a la loi. La loi n'autorise pas à ce que quelqu'un, parce que peut-être qu'il a même violé une femme, on le tabasse jusqu'à à sa mort parce qu'il a violé une femme ou il a fait ceci. Il y a les articles. Il devrait être jugé parce qu'il y a la présomption d'innocence. On ne sait pas si ce qu'il a fait est vraiment, ça pouvait être des règlements de compte. Il y a la loi qui existe. On pouvait l'arrêter, il soit jugé au tribunal et après, s'il est jugé coupable, on le traduit à la prison.
Rapidly, let's end the program with this issue that's coming from the Port Authority of Douala. We are told, we saw it in one of the French newspapers. They are accusing, for faking the figures about what the research. What is coming from the Port Authority? What do you have to say to that? You know, the port is being managed by Cameroonians now. We no longer have Boleri that was managing the container terminal of Port Authority. There's some kind of jealousy.
Mr. Lasha Kingsley, I don't think that the Douala MSC Port Authority can fake figures. Because there is an audit.
There's a newspaper accusing Cyrus of faking the figures.
There is an audit. It is, how will you fake figures? Because obviously, that money has to be dropped in the state treasury. You understand? There has to be an audit committee.
I
don't think it's a way of of sabotaging. It's a way of blackmailing the authority that is managing the Douala seaport, because it's a Cameroonian. You know, most often whenever these expatriates come to manage multinational companies, especially in our country, you find that there's always a negotiation between them on figures that have to be declared. and some other parts that will have to go into the pockets of private individuals. So there are lobbying, there could be lobbying groups that want this seaport to be handed over to maybe to expatriates to manage it so that they can have exactly something from behind. But now there is a Cameroonian that is managing it, you find that they will do everything possible to tarnish.
Shea Jones Yembe.
To tarnish his image, his reputation, in order to say no. There has been a seaport that Cameroonians could not manage. They came up with fake figures and all the like. We've been talking of nationalism. We want our
the court case is still ongoing between Bolleri and the Port Authority of Douala.
That is why
he is still insisting, still trying to come back.
Mr. Lashekins, I talk of lobbying groups. If there are lobbying groups that will want to get to regain their grip over the seaport, you'll find that there is going to be all Machiavelli kind of propaganda that will be carried out in order to tarnish the image of the present running body that is handling the seaport.
Thank you very much for coming. We have come to the end of the program this morning.
Exactement, Lasha Kingsley. Et c'est sur ces paroles de Monsieur Moutaga Sylvanus que nous mettons un terme à l'édition de ce jour. Madame, Messieurs, merci d'avoir été des nôtres. Restez scotchés pour plus sur My Media Prime Television.
Thank you for watching televiewers. The program was produced by Tebon Christian, and for presentation we've been Audrey Zagza and myself, Lasha Kingsley. Bye-bye. Tomorrow is another day.